Hey, everybody, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio and the Town Hall Academy, week 377. I would have never thought that long ago that we would be doing this, and it's been 9 years and having so much fun bringing all this great business acumen and brilliance and so many great, listen to learn just one thing, learning things. If you're with us on your podcast listening app, just give us a high five, a review, mark us as a favorite, like us, share this with friends. We sure do appreciate that with your support. And don't forget, we're on YouTube. So every podcast episode, we're on YouTube. Hey, I want to thank so much the people that support us and make this free to you. Did you know that NAPA Tracks has on-site training plus 6-day-a-week support? That's so critical. It all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice. Let us prove to you that Trax is the single best shop management system in the business. Find NAPA Trax on the web at NAPA.com. And auto shop owners, imagine investing in a change that transforms your business and multiplies your net profit. On average, our clients see a staggering 9x return on their investment in net profit. AutoFix Auto Shop Coaching at autoshopcoaching.com. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Well, I got a great panel. We are talking about Store 2. How many times do people, well, honey, or to themselves, if they have a spouse or a partner in the business, we need Store 2. And what is that reason that they need it? Here, we're hoping to find out from our great panel. Let me introduce them all to you. Kim Auernheimer, CS Automotive, Brentwood, and Monteagle, Tennessee. Hi, Kim.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see you, Kim. Jim Fleischman is here from Automotive Alley in Arcade and Marilla, New York. That would be his second store in Marilla. Carl Hutchinson is with us, Complete Automotive in Springfield, Missouri. Both stores are in Springfield, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Good to have you here, Carl. They're all in second store, which is why I had them come on, and they've all struggled with some interesting decisions. I hope to hear today for our great listening audience, what was their decision? What drove them to Store 2? Why did they choose the market that they went into? And was it boom or bust? How did they finance? Was it the bank? Was it SBA? Was it the seller? Was it all of the above? Did they purchase the property? What was their marketing efforts? And what will they continue to do? Staffing and a whole bunch more. So further ado, let's get this thing started. So Jim, how many times did you drive by this second location and said to yourself, this would be a cool Store 2?
The building we drove by for years on the way to a racetrack. I always thought, wow, it's a really nice building. And I thought it was a machine shop. I had no idea that it was a automotive repair facility, and came across a listing on I think it was Facebook Marketplace for a shop. We went and took a look at it, and it wasn't the particular shop we bought. And while we were there, the realtors had let us know that there was another option, but it was still a functional shop if we wanted to go take a look at it. So we went over and took a look, and that's where we saw, I go, this is that really nice place I drove by all these years, and I didn't realize it was as big as it was. When we walked in there, there was 7 bay doors out back, which there was only 1 bay door in the front. That's why I thought it was a machine shop. So shame on me for never going behind the building all those years. But I have a problem with ceilings, and I have a problem with floors. And my wife will contest to this, that I looked up and I'm like, wow, it's got beautiful ceiling height. And I looked down and the concrete was beautiful. I go, she knew where that was going. So it was over with. She knew I was in. Yeah. So it was cool.
I guess if you satisfied Jim's ceiling and floor, he's got to come up with the cash.
Well, it's like anything. I mean, if you know a place has got really good bones, good concrete, if its floor is done right, you know you're in good shape. You can clean it easy. You can paint it if you wanted to, but if the concrete's, it's just a mess from that point on. So I don't.
What I know about Carl is we got a tour of your second location. I remember, Carl, and I remember this big hole in the floor. And so, how's your concrete?
1,200 square feet of it's brand new. So that was the first thing we did, was have to bust up the concrete, take out the old hoists, fill in an alignment pit, So our beginning story was I actually had identified a large piece of property with a huge building on it, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15,000 square feet under roof. I think it was on about 8 acres or 10 acres. And that was my first second store project, but I couldn't make it go financially. It was too big of a leap. And I've got an accountability group that I was pitching this to, and they talked me off the edge of buying that thing. And they said, well, have you checked this site? Have you checked that site? So I'm on all these sites that they're looking at, and it's like, holy cow, there's this building here in Springfield that's a 6-bay automotive service building for sale. I couldn't drive over there fast enough. I knew where it was at. Been a long time since I looked at it. And it's like, holy cow, this is it. Prime location, right in the middle of dealership row. And we were the only independent service provider there. We got some tire stores, that kind of thing. That was our deal. It's like there was no drive-by for us. I know where it's at. We're going to go look at it. And it was held for us because we were probably the 5th or 6th person that made offers on that building, and they kept getting turned down. Why? We don't know. And finally, when I dealt with the owner, I actually knew the owner of the building from years ago. I used to work for him. And it's like, so we had a small relationship, just small, but I still had to basically bow down to everything that he wanted to buy that building.
Well, I love your story, and there's value in what Jim said about drive-by. There's value in you to have a networking and accountability group saying, "I think you're nuts, Carl," because every once in a while,
exactly what they said.
hey, I'm going to go I'm going to Charlap's. That's the ice cream place here, and I'm going to have that big banana split. And it was bigger than my stomach could handle. And that's a great story. I love that story. Who would have thought Facebook Marketplace? Is that where you say you discovered it?
No, this one came off of
Oh, it was Jim
some of
who
the
said that.
independent realtor sites. And, there's 4 or 5 of them around here for selling businesses and property and different things.
Right.
But that's where I identified it. We picked up the phone I've got a very good realtor friend. I didn't know if he played in the commercial market or not. And I said, hey, can you show me a commercial building? He said, absolutely. By the end of the day, we were looking this thing over.
The beauty of all that I'm hearing is it's about networking. It's about people you pick up the phone and call people and says, don't hide behind a rock. Tell people, hey, I'm looking for my second location. You just never know where that's going to bump into. Kim, yours is a distance away up in the mountains versus in the rich suburbs of Nashville. How'd you get way out there?
Kind of the networking. And first of all, Jim, I want to comment on your whole floor thing. We bought 2 grease skating rinks. Makes for an interesting project. So we have quite the story to tell on our floors, both properties. So I get you. Our kind of situation was we have been looking in the Nashville market for quite some time, and Nashville is one of the most competitive markets for multi-store growth and also private equity acquisitions and such. So we started kind of looking outside of our area. This one particular property had been on the market for quite some time, but I never even thought about it because it's about an hour and 15 minutes away from us. I think our biggest challenge is the demographics was so different. I didn't know if we could run CS Automotive in such a polar opposite demographic area. But I had seen this and it kept coming back and coming back. And ironically, the exterior of the building is painted exactly the same as we painted our Brentwood location. So it's kind of like maybe it was a sign. I'm not sure. But it had been for sale for quite a while. Come to find out that the seller very ill, looking for his 4th kidney transplant. We were working with an investment group that is a real estate investment holding group. And they called us and said, have you thought about Monteagle? And I'm like, I already know what shop you're talking about. This is a sign. So we went up within a couple of days and had it closed within a few short weeks. But there's some challenges with the distance for sure.
Yeah, probably a whole different kind of marketing strategy. We'll get to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Okay. It's been how long for each of you? Let's put some timing into perspective. Carl, maybe 2.5 years?
Yeah, we're 2.5 years into it. It'll be 3 years in September.
Okay. And Jim?
October of 23, we turned the key and turned the lights on for the public.
And Kim,
So,
same for you, right?
yeah.
October 23rd,
Wow.
23. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
So interesting comparison between Jim and Kim on the timing. Your people. Let's talk about people resources. There's a million things to talk about the challenges of getting, and so many people have said, listen, if you don't have your processes and systems down by store 3, you're probably going to have to close store 2. There's that learning curve of how do we operate that place, even though it may be in a different demographic, the same as we operate ours. I don't want to have 2 different methodologies of servicing customers and managing our people. And Jim, Carl, Kim, was that a big challenge for each of you? Kim, let's go with you.
That was one of the things that we do, knowing that we were going to go, our goal is to go multi-shop, was to prepare for that. So I spent over a year and a half preparing our policies and procedures, getting set up on Trainual. We actually even went into a bit of a financial deficit to hire on a director of operations so that we could start, once we hit the road and hit store number 2, we were ready to go 3 and 4. So I hired a director of ops back in May of last year in preparation. So I had a lot more opportunity to plan because I knew that was a goal. I was also working with a coach that specialized in multi-shop growth. And so we just had a lot of background and support for that. So was it easy and did it go seamlessly because I was prepared? No, absolutely not. It never is. But I couldn't imagine just haphazardly running in and saying, here's shop number 2. We'll figure it out as we go. I probably would have quit the industry had I done that, to be honest.
Wow. Carl, more confidence for you to have had a coach working with you?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think I could have done it anywhere near what we've been able to accomplish without a coach and a coaching system. And I was grilled very intensely to make sure that I was prepped up and ready for this. I mean, it's not just cash in the bank. It's not just, you bought a building there's a lot of moving parts to a second location. Process, procedures, manuals. Just all of these, and culture. There's all of these things had to be built first. By the time that we actually bought the building and started down the path, I had already hired a lead technician and a lead service advisor for shop number 2, stuck them in shop number 1 and started training them. And that was just another huge expense. You don't even factor in those types of things. When we happened to move over and open up, I had 2 people that were what I thought was solid. That's a whole nother story. I don't know if we got enough time for that, but we had people in place. And honestly, it's almost like copy and pasting. You got everything. You got all your SDS sheets. You got all your process procedures. You bind them all up. You put them in a book. You put them on an electronic, however you want to get it there. But it's there. Your marketing is already there. Our second location is roughly 7 miles from the first one. We didn't have to go out and create a new marketing plan. We didn't have to go out and create a whole new environment. We started in a little bit early on marketing for it, but it wasn't like we had to go out and reinvent the wheel. There's just a lot of things that just worked from store 1 right to store 2.
Good for you. Jim, how about you?
I think, I believe, I want to say 8 years ago, we had a conversation and it was on a podcast, and I know what we were planning on creating a multi-store operation. Do you remember that podcast?
I sure do. And one of the things that I remember so well was I picked the logo and the colors because I'm going to put this everywhere. Automotive Alley. What a cool name, right?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
I spent a tremendous amount of time with our management system and making sure our operations are, like Carl said, cut and paste, and Kim said the same thing, is we're taking everything from here and put it over there. Obviously, the building layout's differently. The footprint's different in both locations. So there are some challenges that we had to work ourselves through that of where we're going to put, the incoming parts, and, the service counter's a little bit different. And one place has a better customer lounge or waiting area than the other. We didn't build the building. We just modified it to fit our needs. So I thought that was what was easy to do. But I wasn't worried about turning the machine on and having problems. I was worried about getting the machine ready to open. If that makes any sense. I knew what we were doing with our management system and our DVIs and our processes worked. I was worried about working my kid to death and losing. I was trying to get this done before school started, and I lost my hired hand. I think that's where our major focus was not on. We were focused on getting the building ready to go and the facility ready to go and make sure we're ready versus the procedures, because we have the stuff there. We did have, like Carl said, he had people in place. We had guys that we hired in Arcade. I think Kim said it also. In Arcade, we had a service writer in place and we had technician in place. So when we did turn the lights on and open the front door, we had guys there. And again, that wasn't a hurdle that I considered to be a lot, because they already knew our way. They knew the culture. They knew this is how things are going to go. That wasn't really a hiccup.
So we did kind of the same
Kim.
thing, having it being that our shop was an hour and 15 minutes away from our current location. We actually housed them at the hotel just down the street for about 2 weeks to have them work in our Brentwood location and learn from them. That was basically, it was 2 technicians and our store lead. They stayed here in Brentwood during the week and then went home on the weekends for about 2 weeks. That was a great head start. It didn't, like right out the gate, they're there by themselves now. Of course, Tom and I, my director of ops and I were there to help, but it did help in that we were able to do that for sure.
Hey, let's face it. Your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, we'll be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NAPA Trax, that's NAPATRACS.com. In the world of auto repair, every shop has its unique rhythm and challenges. At AutoFix Auto Shop Coaching, they understand that one size does not fit all. That's why we offer personalized business coaching, tailoring our advice to meet your shop's specific needs. Transform your operations with strategies and tools to streamline your workflow, reduce waste, and skyrocket productivity. And when it comes to the numbers, we've got you covered. Our financial management guidance helps you master your finances from cash flow to profit margins, ensuring your revenue grows stronger. Every day, AutoFix Auto Shop Coaching, empowering your shop to achieve more. Visit us at autoshopcoaching.com. As I'm sitting here listening to you, and Jim, I go back to you. Jim was a college professor instructor for automotive technology, and Shelley ran the business, and he would come every night and work another 8 hours. I think that's what it was. And if you all think about how you started your business and how long it took, and the sheer passion you put into it, and you say, can't be that hard to do store two, because you forgot all the years and years and years and the blood and the sweat and everything you did. And now you're all with coaches and an accountability group. And now it's got to be systemized and structured and everything. And it's so different today to want to grow and be a multi-shop owner. Who said it? There's so many more things to think about that the average person says, I started this 10 years ago, I can do another one. And then smash. It hit you
Oh,
upside the head.
Yeah, I can speak to that. That's, it only took us like 12 years to figure out how to run the first one. You know, I'm a little bit
Well,
hard-headed. The
and
second one was a little easier, scary. We opened up with 0 customers, and that was a real challenge. We lost about 15% of our customer base from store 1 because store number 2 was closer to them. And it's like, hey, thank you for building this in our backyard. And it's like, great. I wasn't anticipating losing 15% of my customers from store
Right.
1, but now I had to build 2 customer bases, not just 1. I had to build 2. But
well, and
yeah, go ahead, Kim.
you think over the years, I mean, you start adding like, okay, well, we added parts tech, or we added this over the years as we grew. We get to store number 2, we're like, oh crud, we forgot about parts tech, we forgot about this, because you've just done it over the years and it was seamless. And when you're ready to start and you can't order parts on our point of sale system, like, we forget how important that is.
Well, the thing we
Jim
ran
Fleischman and I'm guilty. I absolutely did that. We opened up the very first week and I go, oh my gosh, I never put all the credentials in
Mhm.
for all the new vendors. We had to straighten some out, but here we're ordering parts and they're going to the other store. So that was a hiccup that happened. And I totally agree, Kim. That was
We're all nodding our head. Yep.
that was a hiccup.
See,
I
if you're
tell you
listening to this show and you do store number 2, make a note right now. Make sure you have all your connections ready.
Yeah, we ran into the same thing. Order tires and they go to the wrong facility, or you order parts on the wrong account. I mean, and then just the sheer fact that we run both of ours as separate entities. There's a account for everything, and they get that messed up all the time. The dealerships, and a lot of these places just get it messed up all the time. The thing that got me more than anything was we started with an empty shell. So even though I walked through store number 1 and went, I need this, and just started making a list. And I mean, the list is long. And the big stuff is easy. That's easy. You go, well, I need a PC for the front office. I need a printer, and all that stuff's easy. But when you turn the key on the door and you try to do something and you go, I don't have paper clips. I don't have a pen. I don't have car keys. I don't have light bulbs. What the heck? So whatever you budget for inventory and supplies and stuff, just double it. I mean, honestly, just double it, because it's like, what do you mean we don't have the little push clips to put fender wells back in with? And it's like, order a box. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine all of the stuff that we've accumulated over the years that you buy here and there. But when you start store number 2 or 3 or whatever, and you have 0, you got to buy it all. And that's a huge hit right in the front end. It's like, I was not anticipating that.
Stuff that we ended up doing, and it's similar to that. Now, I had hours of sitting down making lists of stuff: door locks, light switches, smart switches, home controls, all of these. And my wife's like, why do you need all what? I go, we're not opening a place unless this stuff's in there. But we took a lot of our inventory and we split it. We took stuff that, we may not move quickly, so we split it and we transferred it to the new store so that we didn't have that huge expense. So we went through the same thing. But I have lists of, and it was literally a checklist, electronic checklist. I would be going through Lowe's or Home Depot with my list on my phone, going, okay, I got that. I got 16 of those, and it sounds crazy, but Carl, I totally agree. It's the small stuff that'll chisel you apart. I sat hours and hours and hours in front of a computer, just looking back at what we did in the other shop, going, all right, well, I thought I was good with this number of stuff, and this is how many light switches we're putting in, and this is how many other components. So
Jim's a geek. He operates everything on his smartphone. In fact, when I visited his place, he said, here, press these buttons in, and all of a sudden the door opens and the lights come on and everything. So he's geeked up to the max. But Carl, after you said what you just said, I got a new name for this episode: confessions.
Confessions of a sucker shopper.
Yes, exactly right. Thank you.
I have a lot of
Thank you.
confessions.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
You
We-
confessed. You very, very well.
There's a
did.
lot of prayer and sweat and
We had
marriage
a-
counseling
yeah.
and everything that's got thrown in there with this
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
It even goes as far as tooling. Like here,
Yes.
we still rob Peter to pay Paul now. So I say, hey, we're not going to buy this tool. I mean, how often are we using it? And we'll ship one from one store to another. So one of the guys that works for us that takes care of all of our parts, he's my parts specialist, and he leaves our arcade in the morning, does all the inventory, then he runs to Marilla. And so usually it's, hey, Tom, he messages everybody, is there anything you guys need? I'm heading this way. And he'll throw something in the truck or the car or whatever and bring it, and vice versa. And so he's like our transporter too. So if we did need something, now obviously it's like borrowing tools. The rule, it's a golden rule in the automotive industry. You borrow it twice, the next time you got to go buy it. So, and we keep track of that stuff so that, when we get to the point, let's purchase it. Now, obviously opening it up and finances and being what they are when we open up, can we afford to run out and buy all this stuff new? No, but if we're not utilizing it at one place, we can ship it to the other.
That's true. We started a master list of specialty tools just so we would know what each store has, because there's a lot of this stuff. You use it once a year, maybe, and
Right.
you got to have it. Well, we're not buying two. I mean, we just bought a $10,000 piece of equipment, and it's like, well, okay, we're not buying two of those. We're only going to buy one, and we're going to share that one until we decide, do we really need two? That's a hit. But yeah, we swap things back and forth. Vehicles, we try not to swap employees too much back and forth. Very short-term basis. I'm trying to think of what the other thing was I was going to say about swapping things back and forth. But yeah, the tools was probably the biggest thing, and we do share back and forth quite a bit.
Can we move into another topic that I think is so critical? And, whatever you may have wanted to talk about, we can talk about it at the end. But I want to talk about financing. I want to talk about money. I want to talk about cash flow. I mean, oh my God, I don't have any money in the bank, or oh wow, honey, we've got $100,000 in cash that's going to survive, help us build this company, buy the things we need. Financing. Is it the SBA? Is it the seller? Is it self? Let's get into this whole thing, because I think one of the most critical decisions in store two, how you finance it, how do you support it? Who wants to start?
I would say what we ended up, I had a bad experience with the SBA with our first place. So that was not going to happen. I wasn't going to go through that again. So we ended up, there was the seller, we had seller financing, we had bank, and we had our personal. So it was us, we had all three means minus the SBA of what we did to finance ours. So
Jim, did you sit down with Shelley and say, listen, we got a great business. Our net operating income is great. We're prepared. We're ready. So if we can find store two, we're going to pounce on it, because all these other financial pieces are in play.
that absolutely did not happen. It didn't happen in that manner. It's definitely not the case. It was the place, all right, what do we got to do to make this work? We sat down with our coach, Ron, and Shelley and myself, came up with a plan, and we executed it. So a lot was contingent on, hey, is the seller willing to, work with us? And so
it didn't have to be perfect. All the stars did not need to be in alignment to make this move. And I'm seeing yeses. I'm seeing yeses from everybody.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, they didn't have to. Go ahead, Kim.
Well, I shared earlier, we got in through a private investment group that bought the building. The business in this particular situation, because the owner had been sick for so long and operating basically just getting through day by day, there was really no value in the business. So we had the benefit of the building was purchased by a private investment group, and they basically just assigned us a lease on the property, all contents inside. However, I shared, it was a grease skating rink. So we had to go in and clean. Basically, we got rid of every lift, every hoist, the alignment machine, tire machines, everything had to go. It was all just not in good shape. So we did have to go and invest on equipment. As far as the office side or the interior, we had to do a pretty good remodel to get to the standards that I really wanted, but they did leave even the ketchup in the refrigerator. So it was, inside we were
Bonus.
set. I know, right? We didn't have to buy a stapler. We didn't have to buy, Post-it notes. But the outside, the bays out in, the work area was completely gutted, and we had to start all over. Not even a wheel weight. They didn't even have a wheel weight, and it was a tire shop. That's how crazy it was. So we kind of got into it, very lucky. My goal is, as we grow, to really not be financially at risk. So if I could use other people's investment to move forward, then that's kind of how we're looking at it. We do own the building on shop number 1. We've owned it for 10 years now. Got a lot of equity in that property, and we could go that route, but I really don't want to tie up our personal financial situation. So that's the route that we're looking at going. That may change.
Yeah, ours wasn't that much different since we bought just the shell of a building. I mean, that was all the real estate end of it. That was one major event to try to get financing for it. But the only way we could do that was to justify what we were going to do with the building and cash flow the building. So we did borrow some money from the bank, mostly just to cover all the equipment costs. I wanted to use their money for all the equipment costs. I used all of our money for startup capital, and basically we loaned the company personal money, and I don't know, they're paying us back just like we were the bank. It worked for us, and mainly I just didn't want to have a lot of other people's fingers in the pie. I wanted to be able to control who had their fingers in the pie. So yes, me and the bank own the building. Me and the bank own the equipment. We're still paying that off, but really we limited it. We were putting money back. Hate to say COVID was good to us. Hopefully it was good to you guys. From 20 through the first part of 21, there was more profit made in our company than what I dreamed. And then it was like, well, what do we do with it? That was part of it. So yeah. So the financing for us, we kept local as much as we possibly could, mainly just to keep other people out of it.
As a quick side note to you, Carl, how's business now?
Well, today is what? Tuesday? No, honestly.
I got the answer.
No, it's good. Shop number 2 has been on a roller coaster, and it's a people problem. That's been our biggest challenge since COVID hit, is people. We're on the other side of it. We're actually hiring talented people and not just people, so we're on the other side of it. Shop 1 is doing fantastic. Actually, I think we're going to blow out our expectations probably by 20 or 30%, which is crazy. And it's just a matter of putting the right people in the right seat. Shop 2, we're taking it on the nose. I'll be real honest with you. We're taking it on the nose. That lead position in the office, I think we're on number 4 since we opened. 3 of them have been in the last 6 months. I hate to say our tolerance level, if you don't fit our culture and you're not going to do what we want you to do, you're out. And we're not playing anymore, because we know what it takes to put the people in the right seat and what happens when you do. We're being not tolerant. We'll put it that way.
Do you see, Carl, with the turnover on the front end, that it affects the people coming in the store? Another new person. Another new person.
It affects everything. It affects the customers. It affects the employees. It affects the vendors. We've lost a couple of technicians just because we can't keep the front office staffed. If you can't keep the front office staffed, you can't keep cars rolling. You can't keep work to them. We've made concessions, and it's a struggle. I'll be the first one to tell you it's a struggle, and it's not one of those things that we take lightly, but we also know that it is a no fail proposition. Now, we're going to fail every day, but we're going to learn from it. We're not closing the doors because of it.
Right. 100%.
So we're going to fail our way through it, and we know what doesn't work. So we're going to deal with what does work. And we're building that whole thing back over again. We just started our lead service advisor. I call them location leaders. I can't do the general manager term. That doesn't fit in our culture anywhere. So everybody's a leader in their position. So if you're going to be the lead service advisor, you're going to own that store. And so we just got another guy in that really has all the credentials that we were looking for. He's nice to people. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. What a breath.
What a concept.
Fresh air. Yes.
Yeah, novel idea.
Yeah. You either get one or you get the other. You don't, very rarely you get both. So now we're very happy with this one. We got a good, strong lead technician. I have two, what I call middle leadership positions, call them vice presidents of the company. They're the ones that actually run the company. They're the ones who kicked me out of my office and said, you got to allow us to run this company, so leave. It's like, wow, now I don't know what to do. So,
Well, you get ready to look for store 3, right?
Well, yes. And we just had our quarterly company meeting, and I told them store 3 is not in the cards until store 2 is fixed. We ain't going to do it. And I'm just not going to put any more pressure on anybody until store 2 is fixed the way that it's supposed to be, and we can walk away from it. The whole
Got to
leadership
hold its
team,
own.
yeah, the whole leadership team has to walk away from store number 2. We just about walked away from store number 1, and we have a leader there that runs it. And that's where our goal is for store number 2, is to be able to get everything up and going, put the guardrails up and say, run 100 miles an hour, and then step away.
So let me ask you a question about that. Are you putting your shoulder into store 2, spending more time on grooming and growing that store and letting one just continue in its own pace?
Right now we are. And me personally, the way our company is structured is, for those of you that know, we run on the EOS program pretty strictly.
Pure EOS.
Pure, yeah. Thank you, Barry. Yeah, pure EOS.
And thank you, AJ. He taught me that.
That's right. EOS pure. I did change the names just a little bit. Visionary, great. I'll take that seat. I call the middle people, they hold sales and production positions. Those are their leadership positions. But I finally had to tell them, look, you're vice presidents of the company. I want you to get that through your head. You're vice presidents of the company. You run it. I don't. The president does not run the company. The vice presidents run the company. My role and responsibility is to keep the vice presidents in check. And once they got that, it's like, okay, go away. And it's like, we got it. And my job, my role is just to keep them accountable. It's weird. So now I get to go in and high five people. We go in and do push-ups as a company. We go in and have fun. We have dinner parties, talk to them about their weekend, their vacations, their dogs, their pets, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a different role.
So the shoulder that you put in with your vice presidents, that's where you're putting pressure and or nudging.
Yep. They take care of it. They do all that. I'm still the maintenance guy. I'm still the guy that goes in and fixes the light switch, the plumbing. It's the stuff that I want to do. Let me put it that way. If it's something I don't want to do or it's over my head, I just pick up the phone and call somebody to have them come in and do whatever. So that's kind of nice. If you need to put in a new sink or, I don't know, fix the lights. Or,
Jim, just call your son.
Yeah.
Or you can call Rob, my husband.
So yeah, it's nice.
Carl, thank you so much for that. Let me just ask you a question, because all of you, is store 2 all about building an MSO multi-shop operation empire? Is it for wealth building? There's a lot of reasons that you would say, I need something else to do. I need more pressure. And don't we ultimately, go ahead, Kim. Yeah.
I'm going to say it's all of the above for us. It was the building the MSO with the plan and the intent to someday retire, and having it run on its own, but maybe not necessarily retire, but having our key people still working, and we can head back to Italy for, whatever we want to do there. But the other part too is it took us, took how many years for us to build shop number 1. And I wouldn't say it wasn't still a challenge, because you still have challenges, but it was just, okay, what now? What do we do now? This one's, running. It's,
Ah,
it's never running perfectly. And Carl, I'm going to say
Mhm.
that we can never walk away from a shop, because as soon as you walk away, you're going to have to look back, or something's going to trip you up. But it's, it is one of those, like, okay, let's challenge ourselves now. Bringing somebody in, having this, we call our store leads, having the store leads do what they do. I have the benefit of Rob and I working together. And so we were looking for a challenge as well. Sometimes you be careful what you ask for, but it's at the same time, his strengths and, being able to see Rob and his gifts and his strengths in the business, being able to use them all over again was really exciting for me. And the same for me, the financial side of it, the stuff I love to do, to be able to get to do it again is a lot of fun. And it is nice that we have our director of ops to be able to help us when we fall backwards or trip up. But it's all of the above is really why we did it.
got it. Jim, how about you? I know you
Well,
want to build an empire. I do get that.
Well, I think everyone wants to build an empire. I mean that's the cool factor of it. But it goes back to my teaching. I think the best way we can change the industry is to touch as many people as we possibly can. So, if that means sitting in one place forever and not exposing everyone to the goodness that you can
Mhm.
provide or the goodness that you can do, then I don't know. I think I have a different look at it. Kim's right on the money. Carl's on the money. Yeah, we're trying to have a retirement plan, and this all came down to I was bored. I was bored, and it sounds crazy saying it like that, but I think Kim can relate. It sounds like I had fun building it. I enjoyed it. I missed all the crazy things that happened when we started our business, and Shelly does the finances and I handle all the all operations make it happen, and she's operations make it financeable and payable and all of that stuff. So I don't know.
Okay, so you
I'm a
felt like
little
you were
kooky
in
like that.
so you felt like you were in jail and you wanted to break out.
Sure. I know that was part of our long-term vision, and
Yeah.
saying, hey, here's an opportunity.
And by the
And
way, that I'm so glad you said that, Jim, because what I had written down here is to drive your purpose to help other people. And a lot of people do that by putting up multiple stores because we want to take our culture, our slant, our passion on building customer trust and keeping their vehicles
right,
reliable. We want
we
to take that to other markets.
we see so many people that I don't like saying it like this, but they're taken advantage of by places that don't do a good job of educating people of what they have so that they can make better decisions in their life and help them
Yes.
physically look at their car as an investment and say, hey, if we can get you out of reactive and into proactive, this is going to save you money. So let's just try to change what you do. And most people look at what we do and they say, how come everyone doesn't do it something like this? I'm not saying they have to do it like what we're doing. I'm not saying we're doing something different than any of you guys. Kim, you guys do DVIs and education, and same with Carl and Carm, day in and day out, you're talking with everyone that's doing this. So again, thank you for pushing the mission and trying to educate and help people.
Yeah.
But shops are out there that are not helping the person with the problem work their way through the problem.
I was going to just speak into your question there. Ours was a little different. One, we were set up enough to where we thought we could retire the way that we wanted to with shop number one. Probably not as well as we would like to. We thought we was going to have maybe one or two more income streams somehow, some way, either inside of our industry or outside. So that was part of it. Retirement planning was part of it. A big part of it was, if we're going to do something for our industry and we're going to hire and train the next generation, we have to show them a path and we have to show them a vision. And if you don't have a big footprint, you can't show them a vision. You can't show them a growth path. Now, you can hire them in, you can make them an apprentice at whatever, you can train to be a service advisor or whatever role you want to train them into. But unless somebody leaves for whatever reason, there's no movement. in our industry, there's really no movement. I mean, it took me probably 10 or 12 years to go from the back of the building to the front of the building. And then I was in the front of the building another 5 or 10 years before it was even breathed that you could be the general manager or possibly the owner or something like that. We have to paint a picture a lot faster than that now. It has to be trained, educate. People move at an astounding rate now. I mean, we have 20-year-olds that were doing stuff that we were expecting 40, 50, 60-year-olds to be doing when I started this business. So yeah, the 20 and 30-year-olds are moving extremely fast. And if you don't have a footprint, that job is not even here yet, but we're going to create it. You can't do that with one location. So as soon as we went to 2 locations, it's just like, bam, we had all of this growth, had all these, now we could afford these people. And you go to 3, 4, 5, now you got even more. We don't want to be the, what was the term that you used, Carm? The 100-store mega shops or whatever? I don't know. We don't want to own the industry. We don't want to own our market. That's not our plan.
Carl, what you're saying is career pathing for
yes,
and think of the younger generation. We really need to think of the 20-somethings and the 30-somethings. We really do, because they are our future. I talked to a shop the other day that said, it's a Carmcast coming out. He says, I got a dozen people and they're all under 30. They're all under like 32 or 33. And my bench is so incredible. And I've got an apprentice program going on. And so to your point, Carl, there's a point in time where you can come in and be 25, 26, 27 years old. You're going to training, you're doing all these things. But there's a point in time someone's going to say, I just bumped my head into this is it. I'm done. Wherever I'm going to be. So
I tell you, I got so tired of going to shop owner support meetings, these business development groups, going to all of these things, and everybody was just going, we got to train our own. We got to train our own. We got to train. Nobody's doing anything. And it's like, you look around and nobody's doing anything. So it wasn't that hard to get an apprentice plan going. Yeah. It wasn't that hard, but.
So let me get on my soapbox for another moment. And I love repeating things that have come up often in the show when I ask owners to tell me about the latest classes that your technicians went to. And they said, well, my people won't go to training. And so I've asked this of recently to a couple of people, and Ben Dexter from NAPA Tracks, he worked 20 some years in the industry, general manager of a multi-shop operation, multi-million-dollar place. And I asked him that question, and you know what his answer was? I drove him. You want to drop a load of mental, it's like, can that shift somebody's mind? And so why? You're not wrenching. He goes, if I ask them to want to learn it, I should be there with them. They should see the fact that I care to learn, even though they know I don't turn a wrench. But now I can come back and says, what was the best thing you learned from that class? And you heard some of it. You didn't get it all
personally.
You were there. You showed your commitment, Jim. It's like you took your entire staff to Vision.
Right.
You drove them there, but you flew them there, right? And you spent 10 or 12 grand.
But even when we do, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
But the point is they love it. And even when we do regular training, I'm going to training with the guys anyways. I'm going there. I know most of those trainers. I enjoy it. And I do exactly that. I will come back and say, hey, or even the ride home. And the guys know that I'm going to pound them in the car on the ride home or the truck or whatever. Hey, so tell me about what you thought was some of the best concepts in this training. They know. They know it's coming.
I want to, if I can add just a little bit more to that conversation, the opportunity just to see the gifts that we have and that our employees have. I have our lead service advisor. She has this natural gift for marketing. And she's not, she has to do her job, but yet she does a lot of our Facebook posts and such, a lot of our social media. But it's like every time I see something brilliant she does, I'm like, I cannot wait till I have enough shops so I can actually hire that position, because she would be my first go-to. So it gives the opportunity to, and she's not young. She and I are the same age. She's actually 4 months older than me, but it is, thank you. But to see the gifts that in those employees that are maybe feel like they have hit their head, but not only for them to know their gifts, for us to be able to see them and see how we can use them in our organization. The more shops, the more income stream, the easier it is to be able to fill those positions in with talented people that we already employ.
Wow. I got to tell you, this was fascinating. And did we follow the format of tell me about
Heck
store?
no, we never do.
We never do. And I love this because the conversation went eclectically in many different areas. And I think we have either scared to death some people about thinking about store two and getting their ducks in order, or we gave some excitement to people that says, you know what? I just listened to an episode with three pretty successful people that didn't have every duck in a row. You were close. Okay. You brought your passion, you brought your tenacity, Jim, to make lists, and Carl to know that I was going to struggle with people, and to Kim, how do I brand this thing? We didn't even talk about marketing yet.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah. So we may need to come back in a few months and say, so how's the store doing?
Right.
We may have to do that. Right.
So the one thing that we all have in common is we basically started with nothing. I mean, I think Kim had at least front office stuff, maybe a customer list.
I had
you had ketchup, which more than what I had. But so I think the question was, start with nothing, buy something that's existing. Now, I run with some group of friends that have done both. I've seen them struggle with buying the existing ones. The culture change is probably the biggest thing. But then I've also seen some of them buy some outstanding locations that are just 2 or 3 times bigger than what they originally started with, was their second or third location. And it's like, wow, how did you manage to do that? But would I buy another one that didn't have any customers? I don't know if I could do it a third time. I just don't think I could. I don't think I got it in me. I think I'd want to have some customers, and I'd want to have some dollars generating before I stepped in there and made that decision again.
Even if you had to pay a multiple for the profit of the business, at least you have some cash flow going.
Yeah. And I think Kim touched on it earlier. It's getting really hard for us to buy stuff. I don't want to say at a reasonable cost, but I think there's so many players in the game now that are just knocking on everybody's door, that the things that were not worth much before are all of a sudden worth this multiple just because everybody's knocking on their door.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of hoping that's going to go away soon.
Yeah, but stop and think, everyone, that the multiple people are willing to pay, you have to have a multiple to start with. You have to have a profit on the bottom line to start with. And
that's the evaluations that we've seen, is people have this weird idea of what things are worth, and there's no profit in it.
The seller who wants $1 million for their business, because that's the number everyone says, listen, I want $1 million for my business.
That's cheap.
I get that, but there are some potential great locations out there that have failed miserably. They have a little bit of a customer base left. Maybe there's a technician with a pulse. Okay. But there's a market, and you like the place, and it complements where you are, and you walk in, knock on the door, let's have coffee. Are you interested? Because the person has always been thinking, I want to sell, I want to sell, I want to sell. And they say to you, I want $1 million for my business, after a short little conversation. And you say, instead of laughing your butt off, knowing that it is not worth that, you need to say, listen, I'm willing to pay $1 million. I'm willing to pay $2 million. If we can justify that the profit exists in business, I'm willing to pay whatever it is worth. So I need to see your financial statements. My what?
Why does it have a negative number at the bottom? Never mind.
So I think that's the positivity of getting into a relationship with an individual that ends up getting you potentially a hell of a nice place in a location store, 3, store 4, store 5. I think that's part of the strategy in the mix, is you're not going to be able to buy $2 million businesses with a $400,000, $500,000 bottom line.
Right.
It's not. So you have to find an eclectic mix, and it's probably more important that it fits your strategic marketing plan, your locations that touch each other.
Yeah.
Jim, you've been in the country for your first store, and you bought another location that's kind of in the country. It's not real country. It's closer to the major city of Buffalo than Arcade is, but still how to lead a more rural or suburban place.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely, I think we're 35 to 40 minutes apart, if that. And both places are pretty rural. Like Carl said, we started with a shell. We went and bought all our own equipment. We bought all our own stuff. The stuff that was there was of no, there was some things that were worthy to us, but for the most part, it's outdated stuff and more stuff than we would ever need. Things have changed. And
I got one quick story about getting rid of your equipment. I think it was Kim that got rid of her equipment. So we bought a shell of a building, no equipment. I mean, it was empty, but there was an old air compressor that was outside of the building, had a shed over it, and it was all overgrown. So I tore the shed down, got all the growth out of it. And it's like, what am I going to do with this old air compressor? I'm going to have to haul it off. Dang it, if somebody didn't steal the thing overnight.
Come on, really?
They literally either wrapped a rope or a chain around this thing and drug it off the parking lot. You could see the drag marks out the parking lot, up the road. It's like, hot dog.
Thank you very much.
What am I going to do with it? And the beauty of it is Jim got good concrete and good ceilings. That's what he got.
You're right. Hey, good concrete is worth a lot. Let me tell you.
Tim Auernheimer, CS Automotive, Brentwood in Monte Eagle, Tennessee. Jim Fleischman, Automotive Alley Arcade in Marilla, New York. And Carl Hutchinson, Complete Automotive in Springfield, Missouri. Yes. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here, everyone.
A lot of
Thank
fun.
all you guys.